And now,
ladies and gentlemen,
please fasten your seatbelts.
Welcome to PreneurCast.
You know, business cards being swapped, beers being drunk.
Can I say a nasty word? Can I say procrastination?
With Pete Williams and Dom Kocher.
How well did that go down?
You can talk about that entire thing in a very another rant and soapbox episode if you want to.
Visit us online at preneurmedia.tv.
Hello, Sir Dom.
Hello, Sir Peter. How is it down there in darkest wherever it is that you're at for your triathlon? Because it's race week, isn't it?
It is race week. I've 3 sleeps out from the Ironman, which is very excited. Just got back from the masseuse this afternoon, and very, very lazy day tomorrow. I've got to be horizontal on the couch all day, according to the coach. And then it all sort of happens from tomorrow night with the pasta party and race introduction. And then Saturday we take our bike down and take a lot of gear and get all that sort of set up. And then at 5:45 a.m. on Sunday, the gun goes and race starts.
Can I just say that someone who didn't know you so well might possibly consider that, listening to you, that there were some incentives in this when you had started the training. I imagine that possibly your trainer told you that at the end of all this effort, throughout this effort, one, you get lots of massages, and then towards the end of it, you get to lounge around on a sofa and eat lots of pasta and just generally hang out with your mates. Oh, and don't forget, buy lots of shiny kit.
I did drop a few $100s yesterday at the race store, and then surely on Monday after they release all the finishers gear, I'll drop another few $100s on race gear, because obviously in the triathlon world you can't really wear Ironman kit and Ironman clothes to training sessions unless you've actually finished and completed an Ironman. So I'm looking forward to be able to buy up a lot of stuff and then proudly wear that around Melbourne and various training sessions and races and stuff like that. So that should be fun.
Any marketing people out there, any kind of opportunist marketing people out there, if you haven't spotted a market yet, really you're not paying attention.
Absolutely.
No, but good on you, mate. I mean, you have stuck with this. It's like, 20 weeks training?
20 weeks of training. So it's been very cool. The thing that surprised me the most that I've actually talked about with someone today is that, for those who don't know, and it's kind of a bit off topic, but I used to race triathlons relatively seriously when I was at university in sort of early 20s, and I got to the point where I came third in the state championships for my age group at one point. I think there's only about 5 people in my age group category, but we won't go there. And I made a promise to myself that I'd do an Ironman before I'm 30. So 30 in February, and here I am. And the crazy thing is that I've been running pretty consistently over the last couple of years and things like that. So I had a pretty good fitness base. But literally 20 weeks ago, I hadn't swam or ridden a bike more than 4 times in 6 years. So I had very little bike and swim training under my belt in the last couple of years, and it's come back to me amazingly well. So I'm very, very excited about how that's all sort of just come back and where I've come from that perspective in 20 weeks. So it's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, you say that's off topic, right? But I'm going to bring it on topic. I'm going to make it relevant because it is. You started from not relative unfitness. Let's face it, you've never been unfit.
True.
But what you have done is you've been consistent with the training, and in 20 weeks, you've gone from, as you say, somebody who didn't do that much conscious exercise, and certainly not, heavy lifting kind of things. And on Sunday morning, you're going to do, what is it? What's an Ironman these days?
3.8 kilometre swim, 180 kilometre bike ride, and then a 42.2 kilometre marathon run at the end. So I've done marathons, and I've been a pretty fit guy, but in terms of race-specific training, I hadn't really done much. But it all comes down to finding someone who has done it before, who has done many Ironmans before, has coached people through the process before, and basically put, I guess, my faith in him to a certain extent, and just said, mate, you tell me what to do. I'm going to be your bitch for 20 weeks and do exactly what he said. And I've only missed, I think, 2 sessions when I had my calf injury, for a little bit more of a niggle than an injury, I think you'd probably call it. But basically just found a process that has worked time and time again and just followed it to the letter T. And I'm here race week and could not feel more prepared.
And that's it. I mean, that's what I'm getting to with this is you have stuck at it. You took on a coach, or if this was a business thing, it might be a mentor.
Yeah, consultant.
Yeah, business, a consultant type of thing, and you put your trust in them that they knew what they were doing. You found out that they did know what they were doing first. you put the trust in them, and what they told you to do, you did it, and you did it consistently. And 20 weeks later, you are... I still can't look at these numbers without my eyes watering.
11 hours of pain.
Yeah, and well, the no pain, no gain, to be a little bit trite, but really.
But yeah, the goal times, I've got a couple of goal times. Like, first goal time is to obviously finish. 17-hour cut-off, but I'll clearly be better than that. My original goal time was 12 and a half hours, which if I do under 12 and a half, I'll be very, very happy with myself. But realistically, I reckon I might be able to push 11 hours if I have a good day. But it's looking pretty hot, unfortunately. It's looking hot and windy, which is the two things I didn't want. Don't mind the heat so much. It's just the wind on the bike, which will be my enemy of the day if it gets too windy. But we'll deal with it as it comes and just push through, cruise it, and enjoy the day as much as I can.
Cool. Please tell me that you've got somebody there taking photos.
Oh, absolutely. There's professional race photography, and the girls are coming over as well, so they're there to look after me and take some photos. So.
Excellent.
Well, I have them up on the blog or on Facebook or something like that at some point.
Cool. I'm not exactly looking forward to seeing you in spandex, but at least I'm looking for. Sorry, I've got the giggles now.
All right,
I think we better get serious before I just lose it.
Absolutely. So this week, what shall we be discussing this week?
I'm out of things to find out. Myself, I haven't got a question for you this week. I was really hoping that with this downtime, one of your more thoughtful topics might come to you. Have you got something for me?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's definitely something we can talk about. There's obviously a big list of future episodes and stuff, but look, something that I think could be worth having a bit of a chat about today is a thing or a concept which is primarily being popularised by Brian Tracy, who's a fantastic business writer and author, and gave me a great testimonial for my first book, which is very kind of him. And it's a concept that he's spoken about a number of times called zero-based thinking. And it's a concept that I really enjoy and try and sort of apply it to a lot of different aspects of my life and business, and thought it's something that we should probably share for people who aren't familiar with zero-based thinking. Are you familiar with that at all, Dom?
Do you know what? I have never heard of that.
Cool. Very exciting then.
This is great. This is completely new. Awesome.
So basically, the premise is around a question, and the question is basically, knowing what I know now, would I get into this business, project, job, client situation again? So, knowing what I know now, would I do what I've just done again? And basically, the concept is all about saying, I guess you'd say harnessing the benefit of hindsight is probably the good way of putting it, because you want to say, okay, I've obviously been through an experience, I've got some knowledge around this particular area, whatever it might be. Now, having known what I've known now, would I get back into this? If I had to wipe the slate clean, start with a zero base, so I've got a zero base, zero history, but some hindsight and knowledge, would I do this again? And it's a really powerful concept when you actually take the time to sit, digest, and actually apply it to your business. I first saw this being applied really, really well from an investing standpoint. And obviously we speak more about marketing and business and stuff like that, and we'll definitely combine it back to that in a moment. But to make it a really good way of seeing and getting some clarity around this zero-based thinking is from an investment standpoint. So if you said, well, let me say it a different way. This is something one of my very first stockbrokers or advisors taught me years and years ago, was basically like, if you consider midnight, every night, you sell your shares and you buy them back with no brokerage fee. So basically, midnight every night, you have to physically wipe your stock and rebuy it. And if you are willing to say, yep, I'm just going to reinvest in the stocks I currently hold today at midnight when I have to repurchase my stocks, you're good to go. Continue holding that share. But if you would say, well, actually, hang on, I probably wouldn't buy that stock again right now today, you should sell that stock. And from a stock investing perspective, is so many people want to hold that stock even if it's going down or if it's actually hasn't moved, whatever, because they want to actually, the stock will come back, I'll make more money, and they sort of hold on to the losers and kill the winners. Everyone's sort of heard that sort of analogy with stock market trading, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So basically, that's a similar sort of concept of zero-based thinking, is that at midnight you wipe your slate clean, you wipe your trading account clean, you go to a zero base, would you buy those stocks again? And so many people actually wouldn't, yet they still happen to hold on to their stocks, which is just a very poor investment choice because it means you actually are chasing your losers. And having that question answered with some clear clarity helps you actually take the emotion out of the stock trading, which I think is really, really cool. And again, I heard this again applied in another sort of investing space from a friend of mine, Steve McKnight, who's a #1 best-selling author in Australia around property investing and a good friend of mine. And he spoke about this concept in the concept of holding real estate as well, is that, so many people have an investment property and they actually have all this money tied up in the property, all this equity. Now, if you had that equity in your bank today, if you had $100,000 of equity sitting in your bank, would you buy that property, or would you go and actually leverage that money better and buy 2 or 3 properties at a higher loan ratio or something like that? And that concept is, again, a zero-based thinking type of approach, is that so many people just say, oh, look, I've invested 50 grand when I bought this house. It's now got equity of 200 grand, but I'm still holding on to that house because I've got a great return on my 50 grand. Well, that's not true, because today you now have 200 grand in your investment. What sort of return is that 200 grand giving you today? You have to ignore the 50 grand you put in, because that was 2 years ago. That was 3 years ago. Today, right now, you've got 200 grand in this property. Are you getting a good ROI on that 200 grand today? Don't do your calculations based off the 50 grand you put in. Do it off what you actually have in equity right now, because that is your cash that's invested in that particular asset. So it's, again, another way of applying zero-based thinking to a asset, in this instance, a property. And then obviously we can go on and start applying this sort of stuff to your business and your marketing, because I think it's really, really important to actually assess your business on a regular basis, taking this zero-based approach.
That's really, really cool. I really like that. And oddly enough, I've never heard of it. I've never heard of zero-based thinking, but it really does reflect a way that I look at things from time to time. I do look at where I am, like where I am with my business right now. In fact, this very week, I've been evaluating my business. Traditionally people do this at the end of the year, or when at the end of the month, or whatever. But the end of the year is a big time for people to evaluate their business. So it's a really good time to have this conversation. And it's topical for me without having discussed it up front, because I am evaluating my business, and that is exactly a question to ask, and that I am asking, strangely enough. It's like, I've learned so much, especially in the last year. My business has moved from where I started and where I thought it was going to go. It's gone completely over somewhere else, and I'm really pleased with it. But it's time to decide what I'm going to do. And a great way of doing that is this zero-based thinking. Knowing what I know now, having the customers that I've got, looking where it's going to go. Would I do this again? Is this it's a very simplistic way. Is it a good business? Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And this is like, if we talk about it from a website information marketing element, and we'll come back to a real world bricks and mortar business, but with websites like flipper.com, where you can actually relatively easily sell a web asset to another online marketing entrepreneur, or whatever the term might be this week, however they're describing people who have a business that only markets online. But if you're running a website or a blog or affiliate marketing site, and you should really assess is go spend some time, go onto Flipper and get a bit of an idea of what a website with your sort of revenue, your sort of traffic numbers is actually worth in the marketplace. Because you can go on there and sort of see recently sold websites, and you can see that a site that has 2,000 visitors a week, that is generating $500 a month in revenue or whatever the figures might be, sold for X, Y, and Z. And the beautiful thing with online businesses, unlike real-world businesses, is that most online businesses are sold to people who are buying it based on the numbers, not on the passion. Whereas, in a real-world scenario, if you want to go and buy into a franchise or go and buy a business from a business broker, you actually wanted to make sure people are generally more emotionally attached to the type of business they're buying. They're not buying it off the numbers, they're buying it off I'll enjoy this because I want a good lifestyle. Whereas online entrepreneurs are generally buying stuff on the numbers. So the numbers and the ratios and the revenue and the value of the website that might be in underwater kickboxing, if your numbers are relevant but you're in the cycle or the bike repair niche, or you're in a niche about how to help massage therapists get more clients, whatever it might be, and your numbers are the same or similar, that's how much your website is worth. That's how much your asset is worth right now. So the question you have to ask yourself is, okay, I have this asset worth $5,000. If I had $5,000 cash right now, would I buy this website? And if the answer is no, because you think there's a better return on your investment for $5,000, then you're probably worth considering, do I sell this? Do I go and actually sell this website right now and move on to this other opportunity? Now, what I'm not saying is to keep jumping from boat to boat and ship to ship and things like that regularly, because you keep reassessing and flipping stuff. There's a very successful business model in just buying, selling and renovating stuff, or buying, renovating and selling it. But you have to keep reassessing every 6 months, every 12 months, just what are my assets that I have in my business, and is this the best ROI I can get based on the value of this asset?
So I just want to oversimplify what you just said about the site and the assets and things like that. Because for the more simplistic among us in that space that don't have a business that has just the internet as its sole route to market, what we might have is a large portfolio, going back to your financial example, a large portfolio of domain names. We might have gone through and bought what we thought were really good domain names years ago and have quite a few of these things sitting around.
Absolutely.
Some of them might have websites on them, but using this zero-based thinking, if you go through, let's say at the end of the year, you take a couple of weeks off for the non-denominational end-of-year celebration, and you sit down with your portfolio of domains and you look through it and you go, okay, I bought that. I thought I was going to do this with it. I didn't. It's going to cost me $10 or however much to renew that next time it comes up. Am I going to do it? And if you think about it now, rather than when it's due next March, then you can actually have a plan. And you might think, I know I'm not going to do it. And rather than spend that $10, somebody might actually value that name more than me. If there's a site on it and Google has seen that site, then that's actually got value. Don't devalue that concept. I've had really big clients with really expensive websites that have cost them in the tens of thousands of dollars to develop. They're really big companies, but the people that developed the website had no concept, and I swear this is true, they had no concept that just because you put a website up on the internet, that Google's ever going to see it. Forget that it doesn't rank very well in the search engines. Anybody that's involved in online marketing should be aware of this differentiation. Before you can get a good position in the search results, when somebody types in either your company name or the keywords you want to be found for, Google first, or any of the search engines first, has to see your website. And those of us who've been around for a while know that there are some tricks to getting that to happen. But if you don't know, then that's valuable, because literally this site had been live for over a month. They spent multiple tens of thousands of dollars developing it. It was for an incredibly large, well-known international company with a very, very, very expensive or very valuable product. And in the industry they were in, literally one day of not selling that product was worth a lot of money. So 1 month where that site, and I sat with them, I said, look, let me show you. Google doesn't know about your site, and there are ways you can prove this. You can type something into Google and it will tell you, oh, I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about. So we're not talking not turning up for your own name, which is almost inexcusable. But we were talking no way it will ever turn up for anything, ever. So that has a value. So even if you've just got a portfolio of 10 or 20 or more domains that have got basic WordPress on them, it's got value, even if it's got WordPress on it, because some people can't install WordPress and will pay $100 or more to have WordPress installed. All these things have value. Before you even get to, I've got a business, I've got traffic, which is one of those numbers that gives value to something. So back to your point, evaluate it. Go back to the beginning and say, look, this has got these things, I can put a value on it. Like, it's got WordPress on it. I might value that at between $50 and $100 because somebody might have to pay for it. Valuing the actual name is difficult, and I wouldn't want to get into that myself. There are some people out there that just buy and sell the actual domain names and can value them. But this thing's going to cost you money if you want to renew it, just like your stocks. Yeah? Your stocks, you have them, and theoretically you might sell them and buy them back. With a domain name, you do at least have to renew it every year. And as you involve yourself more in the running of the site, that's effort to keep it running. So it's a good thing. Just evaluate your business assets. These domains are business assets. Evaluate them. And if you're not going to... Be honest with yourself. Do one of two things. Oh, well, do one thing and do us all a favour. Okay, the first thing is, if you've got any blank domains, please go and install WordPress on them. Put them on a cheap multi-site hosting package from, HostGator. The HostGator are a perfectly serviceable hosting company. Get a multi-site hosting package, and it's a one-button job. Put WordPress on all of them and put a page of content on it, because it's worth more. And it's actually doing some work. It might get indexed by Google. Maybe put a little bit of effort into that, but the minimum is put something on it. But then sit down and evaluate it. And if you're going to keep it, if you're not going to keep it, make a move to sell it somehow through Flipper or one of these other marketplaces that Pete's already talked about. Secondly, if you are going to keep it, and this is vitally important, put a plan in place. Because if you don't put that plan in place, then you may as well sell it anyway, honestly, because you'll be here next year, and it'll sit, and you'll be evaluating it next year. And next year we'll remind you on the podcast to evaluate your domains again, and you'll go, do you know what? I didn't do that. And me personally, I'd rather sell it than feel crap next year.
Yep, absolutely. And speaking of selling it, we may as well sort of mention our good friend Ed Dale's course, actually, which fits in perfectly. Dominiche. We'll put a link in the show notes, or just preneurmedia.tv/Dominiche. We'll put that on the redirect as well. So he's got a great course on buying and selling websites, and he's just released the second version, and a very much better updated version of the course as well, and highly recommended. I bought the first version with my own hard cash and thought it was amazing, and this second version is just even so much better. So if you've got some assets, some web-based assets, and you want to sell them, or you have some cash and you want to actually invest and sort of do this buy, renovate and sell thing, I can highly recommend Ed's Dominiche. It's awesome. But in terms of talking about zero-based thinking in other areas of your business, you should be thinking about this. Obviously, there's the cliche sort of with your team and your clients, i.e., if you've got if knowing what I know now, would I hire this staff member again? And so many people do sort of hold on to the rotten eggs for longer than they can. And again, the cliche of hire slow and fire fast is important, and that's definitely worth doing. And also, look, clients, it's okay to fire some clients. Knowing what I know, knowing what I know now, would it be okay to take this client on as a client? In the telco business, I have had numerous conversations with clients over the year to say, sorry, we don't want to continue you as a client. Please find someone else to service your phone system. There's plenty of other people out there who can offer the service for the phone systems we sold you and you've got in your business, but we're not the right people to look after you anymore. So there's nothing wrong with firing clients.
I totally agree. It's interesting, actually, just to slightly slide sideways on this one. I recently got an email this last weekend. It's been the Thanksgiving holiday in America. And it's never been something that I've really been involved in or been aware of because being very English, it passed me by for many years. But as I've grown my circle of friends and acquaintances, it's started to come in to my awareness. And I got an email from one of my clients, which was a kind of a group email. And it was a proper, in the true spirit of Thanksgiving, it was an email that everybody was asked to talk about what they were thankful for. And my thought, it made me think. I sat down and I thought, what am I thankful for? And I am actually thankful for the fact that this year, all of my clients are fully awesome. All of them. Which is something I think is not everybody can say. But in the past, and as I've worked through the different jobs I've had and the different businesses I've been involved in, and you're aware of some of the slightly more esoteric ones of those. But in the past, I've been involved with some horrendous clients who just suck your energy and don't appreciate what you do and don't want to pay the going rate for your services and all these different things. And I wish I could remember. There was a great passage in a book I read not so long ago, and I wish I could remember which one it was. But we read so many, and it was about firing clients. It is a drain on you and your resources if you keep a client that isn't an A client. And the more you are involved with the client, the more it drains you, but it drains your business. Whoever has to deal with that client, it drains your business. And you can do it, as you just said, you can do it politely. You can say, look, I can't service you, I can't meet your requirements for costs, I can't be cost effective for you, all these different things. But yeah, it's another thing to do, and it absolutely is. It's like if you've had that client for 6 months or a year, and it's always been a struggle, always been a fight backwards and forwards with them, then sit down and evaluate it and think, if I could kind of talk to myself, and that's really what you're saying, isn't it? If I could sidle up to myself and talk to myself at the decision point.
If I could go back in time, on that time machine, in the DeLorean.
Yeah, that's it. Let's be, if I could go back and whisper in my own ear and advise myself, be my own coach, be my own mentor, would I advise me to take this client? And, well, it's not even a decision. 9 times out of 10, you'd say no. But that's I like that. It's good that you've taken this zero-based thinking and applied it to that as well. It is a great concept. I'm scribbling notes furtively about how I'm going to apply this moving forward.
Yeah, but it even comes down to some of your projects and even your marketing initiatives, the way you get business into the business. Like, you should always be sort of split testing and retesting and stuff like that to sort of work out, are you getting better ROIs in other areas, and move funds across. And that's something that a lot of people already do, and it's sort of, I guess, a subconscious type zero-based thinking where they sort of say, there's a better return of my investment from a marketing dollar, and they'll move that across. But they won't apply that same sort of concept to other areas in their business. And I think it just comes down to thinking about your business and all the elements of your business as little miniature assets. And are you getting the best ROI for that particular asset? And if not, then okay, take that investing approach is midnight tonight. You have to basically wipe everything and start again fresh tomorrow. And that includes clients, the websites you own, the businesses you have, the staff you have, the accountant you have, the friends you have, if you want to get that far and ridiculous with it. But, that's a good way to think about it, is midnight every night, you have to wipe the slate clean and start again. And what elements of your life and your assets would you want to take with you tomorrow? And you have to make that mental shift every single night for that zero-based thinking and just apply that you could almost call it 12:01 a.m. thinking if you wanted to.
I like that. You mentioned staff there. You mentioned it earlier, but you mentioned staff there. And I think this is, again, more applicable in an outsourcing, an out-tasking sense. Because I've come across some people recently who are a little bit too attached to people that they hire for the outsourcing type tasks. And they've not really... There's a lot of different things to think about when you outsource and when you hire an outsourcer. I think it was your good mate Dave Jennings actually uses the phrase hire slow, fire fast.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, which is awesome advice.
Absolutely. I think there's, like, for those of you who've been playing along at home, you'll probably be aware that Davey J and I just did 2 very content-rich videos for the Market Samurai guys and for their blog. So we do a lot of outsourcing and have just done some content videos around that outsourcing area. And if you haven't seen them, check out noblesamurai.com/blog. There's 2 awesome videos on there. And again, we'll link it through on the show notes, which you can always get at preneurmedia.tv, the new home of the podcast. But when it comes to outsourcing, let me just give you... I want to sort of build on your point, but just, I guess, put a different context, again, tying in a previous episode, around what you just said, Dom. 2 important points is train your staff. One of the best quotes I ever heard when it came to staff was, what happens if you train them and they leave? And the response is, what happens if you don't train them and they stay? And so many people, when they actually are going to apply this zero-based thinking to their staff, they're going to go, my staff can't do the role I want, so I'm going to actually fire them. But you have to actually ask yourself a secondary question in this area is, are you firing them because of their personality and their work ethic, or is it because of their skills? Now, if it's because of their skills, you should then ask a third question, have I given them enough resources so I haven't set them up to fail? Have I given them enough resources so I haven't set them up to fail? And what I mean by that is, have you actually invested in your asset, and that asset being a staff member? Have you actually invested in training them to be able to do the job you need them to do? And if you can answer yourself, say that, yes, I have invested the skills, they just can't do the job because they're incompetent, then by all means fire them. But if it's because you haven't actually given them the skills and actually armed them with the ammunition they need, then you might have to reassess, is this zero-based thinking the right way to go about it?
Wow, that is actually a really, really important thing, and I'm glad you brought that up, because time and time again we come back to this when we talk about outsourcing, and we're slightly veering off the topic, but it is really, really important. If you didn't, first of all, go through the proper hiring process and evaluate their skills being appropriate to the job you want to do it, then you set them up to fail. If you just hired them...
No, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I completely agree with you, because I was going to say is that how many times have you or I had a conversation with someone who bitches and moans about their outsourcing team, and then you drill in a little bit and you go, well, what aren't they doing? Oh, I asked them to write 3 articles today, then do some backlinks, install WordPress, and also set up a Facebook page. And you go, well, hang on. In the real world, because so many people think like trade exchanges we spoke about in a previous episode is like monopoly money. So many people think about outsourcers as being like a computer-generated game that you're just playing. They're not actually real people and really working for you because they're not outside your 4 walls. And if you try to hire someone in the real world to actually do all those skills, it ain't going to happen, sunshine. That person does not exist, because the person who has that skill set is being an entrepreneur themselves and is out there actually doing it or earning $150,000 a year. So be very realistic with what you actually your expectations as well.
That is perfect, absolutely perfect, because this is what I've been telling people. It's like, look, if you want somebody, and that is I just love the way that you've encapsulated that. If you want somebody that can write coherent English, that can design good sales pages, that can install WordPress, can configure a theme, that can think about a launch sequence, that can do all these things, they have a name, and it is entrepreneur.
Or it means a long-term team member. That's it. Because,
Yes.
Look, Flo, like obviously, for a lot of people who have actually had correspondence with me on various things, you've probably corresponded with Flo, who's my personal assistant, who is actually based in the Philippines. And she is amazing. She can do all of that. But she's been with me for, I don't know, ages. I can't even think how long it's been now. And obviously, when she started, I didn't throw her in the deep end. I gave her some flippers, and I had her play in the shallows for a little bit, and got confidence and could do the basic sort of stuff. And now she's, diving off the 50-meter diving board, doing triple somersaults and swimming. But that was after she learned how to swim and do butterfly do doggy paddle and then freestyle, and she's been built up over time to do that. You can't expect that from day one.
No, and this is the most common mistake. It doesn't matter who you hire. It doesn't matter what you hire, what they say on their CV. You can talk to them and whatever. But until they've actually been in your business doing exactly what you want them to do, then you're not going to know whether they can do what you want them to do. You can have a good guess, and there are certain things that you can measure for and things like that. But more importantly is the only way people are going to be able to do all these things is that you train them. Back to your point.
Absolutely.
And so many people are afraid, if I train them. It's like, people think that if you give your outsourcers access to the really expensive training that you've just paid for on, I don't know, YouTube optimization or Facebook optimization or whatever it is that you've bought this week, that they'll run off. It's like, oh, okay. So clearly they weren't the right person. Oh well, you've still got the training. You can still give it to the next person. But the more important attitude is, it's not what happens if I train them and they leave. It is, I love that phrase, what happens if you don't? And what happens if you don't is that you don't get the job done properly. You cannot expect anybody, and somebody in the same vein as that, probably in the same sentence actually would if you went to work, you started a job and you walked in the front door and somebody dumped your requests on you, and this is kind of another kind of zero-based thinking. If somebody dumped that request on you, could you do it with the information that's provided in the context? If you had no training, could you do it? I regularly get requests from my clients, and I send emails straight back. I say, I'm sorry, you wrote this email for yourself. You're missing very important points like, I don't know, what website you actually want me to work on.
Yep.
For example, people who write instructions for people very often don't realise how much information they miss out. And that's another one of those setting people up to fail things. You can't get really angry at anybody, outsourcer, professional, contractor, graphic designer, whatever. If you weren't clear, yes, it would help if they maybe teased more information out of you, which is what I do with my clients. But that, in a way, is a skill that's learned and trained. So really, the onus is on you. But yeah, absolutely. So back to the zero-based thinking. Don't go crazy with the zero-based thinking. Make sure you've given whatever it was a chance.
Everything in moderation.
If you're not willing to give everything in moderation, and make sure you do. But also make sure that you're looking at what you think you're looking at. Yeah.
Yep.
Don't go crazy with an axe, chopping things out. Make sure you're looking at what you think you're looking at. For example, with this website, this client of mine with the multiple tens of $1,000 website, they were absolutely, we need a search engine optimization specialist. We are not ranking for these keywords. And that's one of those really painful conversations where you point out you're not ranking because Google hasn't seen you. You don't need a search engine optimization specialist. You need somebody to get your website seen by Google. Make sure you're looking at what you think you're looking at. If your outsourcer isn't performing, is it you?
Absolutely.
So, Ooh, that's a bit deep.
It's not you, it's me. It's not you, it's me.
It's not you, it's me.
So
save that one for the client.
That's it. So zero-based thinking. I think we should wrap today's episode up by giving everyone the opportunity to take a moment, take stock right now, pick something. Pick one asset in your business life, whether it is a domain name you own or a website that you've got. Check out Dominique from Ed Dale. Check out Flipper.com and see the value of that asset, and then assess, is that asset worth keeping, or knowing what you know now, would you actually buy that asset again today? If the answer is no, check out Dominique, learn how to sell it at the highest price, and flip the site, and then move on to another project. So just work out how you can actually apply this in one element of your business. It might be a product line you have. Maybe you're in a retail space and you've actually got, or you're in manufacturing, you've got a product line that just isn't selling right now. Why don't you actually look at selling that asset off, or that element of the business off, because it is not the best ROI you have in the business right now. So there you go, guys. Zero-based thinking.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, even things that you do in your business. Say, for example, you do a certain number of markets. If you're, that in that way, that kind of business, you're in a certain number of physical, like turning up to a market stall type market, and it's one aspect of your business. Think about it. Do you really want to keep doing that? Is you're worth your time, or could you outsource it in a way? Would somebody else do it if you supplied them the goods?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you may not make as much profit, but you'd have a heck of a lot more Saturday mornings to yourself.
It all comes down to maximising your ROI.
It all comes down to maximising your ROI. Before we close off, Pete, on the right at the beginning, we started with you taking action consistently. And one thing I would like to say, because one, I completely agree with you. By the way, I'm big on this thankfulness thing. Sorry, sounds a bit weird for me, but I'm big on it. So one, I totally agree with you. I didn't get to interrupt you properly. Florence is now also not just supporting you, but is also supporting me.
Hang on, how's this working? Hang on, she's moonlighting for you, is she? I'm not keeping you busy enough.
She's helping out with PreneurMedia.tv.
True, that is true.
But she is awesome. I haven't yet come across something she can't do. So she truly is awesome. But also on applying yourself, on being consistent, on taking action, which we're big on. I just want to give a shout out to our mastermind group.
Absolutely.
We've been a little bit under the radar with this. We're doing the 7 levers, the first run of the 7 levers of business mastermind group. We've got the most fantastic group of people signed up. We are a good 4 or 5 weeks into the program, and every week we go on the calls and with the people in the group, and every one of them has either implemented 1 or 2 things that we've said from the week before, however big or small it might be, or they've thought of something of their own to implement, and they're trying and they're measuring. And what's even better for us, obviously, and them, is that they are seeing those little 10%, and in some cases more, but they're seeing those improvements in each one of those 7 levers.
We've had so far. We've had someone increase the foot traffic into their retail store by 40% from one action. Someone this week mentioned they implemented some stuff and had 25% of all their customers in that period of time buy more product than they normally buy. So they had a significant increase in revenue because of for 25% of their customers, which is awesome. Someone getting some massive amounts of publicity exposure, which is great on a regular basis. It's just been absolutely phenomenal, not only the action taken, but the results these guys are getting, which is so cool.
Yeah, so big shout out to the mastermind group. Keep it going, guys. We'll see you on next week's call. But in the meantime, just keep taking that action, and as you can see, you're getting results, and it's great. It's really great.
So everyone, thank you very much for another great podcast. I'm glad you are with us. We really do enjoy doing this on a regular basis for you all. The comments and the emails we get to support at preneurgroup.com is absolutely fantastic. As we said previously, it fuels our ego, which is what drives the podcast, because there is no revenue in this for us, obviously. So we do really enjoy doing it. Again, like we always will sporadically ask, if you do have a moment and are really enjoying the podcast, please head over to iTunes and leave a positive review with your thoughts and things like that. It does help us, get more exposure in the iTunes store, which means more subscribers, which means bigger egos. So thank you again.
Speak for yourself, mate. Speak for yourself.
We'll catch you again next week for another PreneurCast episode. Till then, take action, do some zero-based thinking, and let us know your progress, whether it be small or large, whether you're part of our 7 Levers Mastermind group or just a proactive PreneurCast listener. We'd love to hear from you, love to hear your success stories, love to hear your podcast ideas, and just in general your feedback. Support at preneurgroup.com or preneurmedia.tv for all the transcripts, all the show notes, all the links to stuff we recommend and talk about in the show. And check out Ed's Dominique, really comes highly recommended.
And all that without a script. See you next week, folks.
Ciao.
You've been enjoying another fine episode of PreneurCast with Pete Williams and Dom Gosher. Make sure to hang out with the boys online at preneurmedia.tv or drop them a line via PreneurCast at preneurgroup.com.